Live with breaking news. This is Channel 4 News at 10.
We got them. Two notorious prison escapees from Georgia were captured tonight right here in Middle Tennessee. The two busted out of a prison transport van Tuesday morning after killing two correction officers in cold blood. Their mugshots were put out all across the country, but they couldn't hide for long.
And here they are, Ricky Dubose and Donnie Russell Rowe. They were captured tonight after a chase through several counties, at times firing at officers. It started in Shelbyville and ended near I-24 in Rutherford County at the height of rush hour. You heard about their capture right here on Channel 4, and tonight we know a local couple encountered the escapees in a frightening way. They broke into their home, tied them up, and made off with their Jeep.
Our Channel 4 crews were first on the scene and first to report this tonight. We've got the entire story for you, beginning with Channel 4's Kevin Traeger. He is near the spot where the two dangerous men were caught. Kevin?
Jeremy, Demetria, good evening. This is a huge moment for the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, Tennessee Highway Patrol, and the Rutherford County Sheriff's deputies, two of the most wanted men in America, now in custody here in Rutherford County. It started around 2 o'clock this afternoon. Just wrapped up a press conference a few minutes ago with the director of the TBI, the sheriff, and the Tennessee Highway Patrol. They said that is when the two suspects broke into this elderly couple's home in Shelbyville, tied them up, held them hostage about 3 hours. At 5 o'clock, these two suspects, were told, stole the couple's guns and Jeep and hit the road, leaving Bedford County. That's when the couple was able to break free and call 911. So Rutherford County Sheriff's deputies were notified about 5 o'clock this evening about the fugitives that were on the run heading towards Murfreesboro. Rutherford County Sheriff's deputies encountered the suspects near Interstate 24, mile marker 81, and that is when the chase began. It continued for about 10 miles onto Interstate 24. We talked what happened after that with Tennessee Highway Patrol's Bill Miller.
The suspects ran on foot for some distance till they came across a home. At that home, they were attempting to carjack or steal another vehicle from that residence. At that point in time, the homeowner stepped out and held the people there by gunpoint.
We were on Pruitt Road earlier. That's the Christiana road where the men were eventually captured because of these heroes. That's what they were called by the TBI. A homeowner and his neighbor who held these two men at gunpoint in the middle of his driveway. Just a remarkable story here. We're going to have much more coming up from the director of the TBI, Director Gwynn, who said that this is a huge day for the TBI, and being able to call his counterpart in Georgia and give him the news that these two men were in custody, he said, was a huge deal for him and all the other law enforcement officers here in Rutherford County. Reporting live in Christiana, Kevin Traeger, Channel 4 News.
All right, Kevin, and that's how it ended in Tennessee, but how it began was just as dramatic. As we mentioned at the top of this newscast, police say the two tied up a couple in their Shelbyville home, stole their guns and Jeep. Channel 4's Heather Horrigan is at that house with what unfolded there. Heather.
Jeremy, the couple that lives here was tied up for several hours watching the inmates eat their food, take their clothes and jewelries while threatening their lives. Meanwhile, at one point, police were right here across the street, having no idea what was going on inside the home.
To think that it's going to end up at a household in your county is, I mean, it's like, wow, you know, I mean, who would have ever thought of this?
Law enforcement in this area, though, were on high alert because one of the inmates, Donnie Rowe, is from Marshall County.
He put guns to both of them's head and threatened to kill them if they resisted.
For 3 hours, the inmates held the couple hostage, tying them up with belts and putting socks on their hands.
They ate. She had made some soup, she said, beef stew-like. They ate it. They got the man's boots, some of his clothing, some of his valuables, like jewelry, watches, things like that.
During that time, police were right across the street after an abandoned car was found.
It appeared they had tried to cover it up with grass and branches. Of course, we had no idea at that point that it had anything to do with the two escapees from Georgia, nor did we realize at that time, right up the hill here, that they were in this couple's house and had taken control of them.
Around 5:30 tonight, the inmates fled with the couple's Jeep. They were able to get out of their restraints and call for help.
They're extremely traumatized. I know both of them, great people, but they're extremely traumatized.
And as you can see, there are still agencies here investigating, including the FBI. Now, the couple, who is in their 60s, are very thankful to be alive tonight and that they were able to walk away from such a terrifying situation unharmed. Reporting live in Bedford County tonight, Heather Horgan, Channel 4 News.
Now more about these escapees. Ricky DuBose is 24 years old, a known gang member. He's serving 20 years for armed robbery. Donnie Rowe is 43, and he was in prison for life without parole. Rowe is actually from Lewisburg, Tennessee, but supposedly hasn't lived here for years. The two had been described as dangerous beyond description. When they got away Tuesday, a tearful Georgia sheriff pledged to find them at all costs.
I saw two brutally murdered corrections officers. That's what I saw. I have their blood on my shoes.
My concern is apprehending these people. My concern is primarily with them doing harm to somebody else.
Well, after killing the two correction officers, the escapees took their 9mm handguns, and officials believed they had acquired other weapons somehow, too. We know they stole some today. The inmates were most recently cellmates at Baldwin State Prison and had been cellmates at other Georgia facilities.
We've got to take another look at those startling pictures of their capture. Here they are, lying on the ground, surrounded by police, their hands cuffed behind their backs. But it's their individual pictures posted by the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Department that really stays with you. Both are scowling. The Sheriff's Department writing on their Facebook page, they sure look good in cuffs. Well, if you have the Channel 4 app, you were the first to know about the possible sightings. We broke the story on Channel 4 News at 6:30 and stayed on it until their capture was confirmed. So stay plugged into the app as we get new developments on their arrests. Ahead in just 7 minutes, a man who had an accidental encounter with these suspects today before their arrests.
I-24 is still shut down tonight. It's expected to reopen at about 11 o'clock, but right now traffic is being diverted off of I-24 East at Buchanan Road. If you're headed that way, expect slow going. Now to the nation's capital in a moment of solidarity as Republicans and Democrats faced off in the annual congressional baseball game. It's just one day after an attack on the Republican team during their practice. A rare moment of bipartisanship. The only place Democrats and Republicans were competing was the box score.
We can have different ideas without being vitriolic, without going to such extremes. And so that's what we're trying to demonstrate here.
Perhaps the most memorable moment of the evening came when Capitol Police Officer David Bailey, who helped thwart that attack, threw out the first pitch. President Trump said that by playing tonight's game, politicians showed the world they will not be intimidated by threats. Well, tonight the congressman who was shot is still in the hospital, although Representative Steve Scalise is in critical condition. Officials say he is improving now after a second surgery.
Well, enjoy the break from the heat tonight. It will be brief. Forewarned meteorologist Dan Thomas has more on what we can expect as we head into the weekend. Dan?
Well, we start with what we're expecting tonight. Because of all that heavy rain today, we're watching for areas of dense fog to form through the overnight and into the morning as well. In fact, a dense fog advisory has already been issued for southern Kentucky. It goes into effect at 3 a.m. and expires at 8 tomorrow. Notice Fog Tracker, Forewarned Live Doppler shows some fog in southern middle Tennessee right now. Most of us running in the upper 60s, so relative humidities are very high. And again, fog will be an issue for the morning drive in many spots. Out the door in the morning, if you leave at 6, expect 70. It will be muggy with that spotty fog. We do expect some rain in the weekend forecast. More on that coming up in just a few moments.
Still ahead, more on the story that has the nation's eyes on Middle Tennessee tonight. Those two escapees captured after a chase. A man who crossed their path will tell his story.
Apparently both of these people have shaved their facial hair. One of them possibly has a bullet wound that they sustained in the escape from Georgia. One subject's going to be bruised and barefoot.
Well, if you just joined us, it's been quite a night. The search for a dangerous pair of inmates is over. Ricky DeBose and Donnie Russell Rowe are behind bars again, captured right here in Middle Tennessee. 3 days ago, they broke out of a prison transport van in Georgia and killed 2 guards. Tonight, they were found hundreds of miles away near I-24.
So let's take a look now at a timeline of how this unfolded in Tennessee. At some point in the day, the two ended up on Kingery Road in Shelbyville. There, they're accused of tying up a couple, stealing a black Jeep and guns. Then the two moved on to Interstate 24, driving into Rutherford County, firing shots at the sheriff's deputies who followed. Now, when the two reached the small town of Christiana, they crashed near the Epps Mill Road exit. At this point, a witness on the road saw what unfolded.
While I was driving down the interstate, I looked in my rearview mirror and saw several cop cars with their lights on. And then maybe 20 seconds later, I saw a black SUV weaving in and out of traffic, and I heard a loud pop. And as the car rounded me, you could see a hand and a gun hanging out the window.
That is one of our viewers, Billy Bellamy, who had no idea what he was seeing unfold. He shot that video not yet realizing he was a witness to a capture. What he also didn't see, the man who held them at gunpoint when he tried to steal his car. Law enforcement caught the escapees off I-24 following that chase through several counties in Middle Tennessee. Those two had been on the run for 3 days, again after gunning down 2 guards and escaping prison in Georgia. Channel 4's Kevin Traeger is live near where the two were captured this evening. Kevin?
I'm here on Epps Mill Road. You can see the traffic behind me moving very slowly. The traffic on Interstate 24 eastbound still being diverted off of the interstate because we're near mile marker 89 and it is a crime scene, Interstate 24. This is where the 2 suspects crashed out in that Jeep and took off running into the woods. Before they crashed, they were firing several shots at the Rutherford County Sheriff's deputies who were following them from behind. We're told that the sheriff's deputies did not return fire and they chased after them when the 2 suspects crashed out. Now, the suspects made it several miles down the interstate from here. That's when they were trying to break in and steal a car from a property on Pruitt Road here in Christiana. And that is when they were captured by and held at gunpoint by some very, very brave neighbors there on Pruitt Road who held these men at gunpoint, called 911, and were able to capture, help law enforcement capture these 2 men. We talked to the TBI director, Mark Wynn, about it earlier. Here's what he had to say.
These were 2 bad guys that had committed horrific murders. These are murderers, cold-blooded murderers. And we did what it took to bring them into custody, no matter who they killed.
Who gets the reward?
We'll have to just sort it out. Maybe a lot of people getting a reward out of this.
A big sigh of relief for law enforcement here in Rutherford County and around the state who helped. No telling how many law enforcement were here in Christiana helping capture these 2 inmates. And what will happen next? Well, they're sitting in the Rutherford County Jail right now before they will be extradited back to Georgia to face charges of murder for allegedly killing these 2 prison guards. Just a huge night for law enforcement here in Tennessee. A big, big sigh of relief. We asked Director Gwen why this is such a big deal. He said they could have committed these same crimes in Tennessee, but we got to them first and we put them behind bars. Reporting live in Rutherford County, Kevin Traeger, Channel 4 News.
All right, Kevin, thank you. And here is a perfect example of why some fugitives try to and do change their appearance. This is Donnie Rowe's mugshot. Compare that to what he looked like moments after being captured. Big difference. Now here is his accomplice, Ricky DeBose. Not as much of a difference as Rowe since his head was already shaved, but as you can tell from the arrest picture on the right, he did recently shave it. All right, if you have the Channel 4 app, it's been lighting up all night. We were the first to break the story on the search, the chase, and the capture. You can see all of the pictures and video on WSMV.com.
There is some other news tonight. The job market is improving month after month as we get deeper into the year 2017. Statewide, unemployment dropped to 4% for the month of May. The national average is 4.3%. State officials say it's the lowest rate in 16 years. It dropped to 3.9 back in the year 2001. Well, you may have seen the signs protesting an idea to cut 8th Avenue down to 2 lanes. Tonight there was a public meeting. The plan being explored would shrink 8th South down to 2 lanes, adding bike lanes or sidewalks. Overall, the project has been controversial. Local businesses are concerned with how it might impact their sales during construction and what they see as impending gridlock. The pilot of a blimp is recovering tonight as investigators try to determine what caused him to crash. The blimp was floating over the U.S. Open golf tournament when it crashed into an open field. That pilot parachuted out but was seriously burned before he jumped. No one else was injured on the ground.
Well, the jury is stuck, but the judge presiding over Bill Cosby's trial told them to keep trying. The jury can't reach a consensus after more than 30 hours of deliberation. Since Monday, the jury has paused a half-dozen times to revisit evidence, including Cosby's decade-old admissions that he fondled Andrea Constand after giving her pills. Cosby's charged with 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault. Each carries a maximum of 10-year prison term.
We'll soon see more changes to U.S. foreign policy toward Cuba. President Donald Trump is expected to announce a revised version of the policy President Obama established last year. Trump doesn't want U.S. cash reaching Cuba's military. More than 600,000 Americans traveled to Cuba last year.
Channel 4 News, home of forewarned weather, rated Middle Tennessee's most accurate forecast.
Boy, look at that. This is sunset over Clarksville.
Beautiful.
In fast motion.
In fast motion.
Yeah.
Pretty soon you'll see a boat come along the river there. And
see the cars behind me right here.
Yeah, they're going pretty fast.
Right there. Yeah, so.
Not bad. They're going pretty
Beautiful
fast.
view, though.
Beautiful view as the clouds were thinning, but that means fog by morning. So we had a lot of rain today. About an inch fell at the Nashville airport. Some spots got 2. Almost 3 inches. In fact, just south of Lebanon, 2.7 inches fell. And this showed the storms coming into Lebanon earlier today. Thank you, Chris, for that photo. And look at that shelf cloud. We actually had some gusty winds with some of these cells, about 50 miles an hour in Pulaski and about 50 at the Bowling Green Airport. But all that's gone. The rain is done for tonight. Clouds again are thinning, and that means fog is forming, and that will continue toward dawn tomorrow. So heads up for the morning drive. If you can allow some extra drive time, I think you'll be happy you did, especially away from Nashville. But even in Nashville, it probably will be dense. Hot tomorrow afternoon, partly cloudy, back into the 90s. So we got a break today. The high temperature was 88, set around 10 o'clock in the morning. Then the storms moved in. Just isolated storms tomorrow. Isolated storms on Saturday, storms much more likely on Sunday, which of course is Father's Day. Outdoors right now, this downtown Nashville visibility, at least in this shot, looks very, very good. But notice some thin fog is already forming in Smith County and Carthage, and we're primed and we're ready to go. Relative humidities right now are actually in the 90s, and that means fog could form anywhere at any time, with all these at 97% right now in Cookeville and 98, for example, down in McMinnville. 67 degrees now in Murfreesboro. It's 67 in McMinnville, lower 70s in Nashville, lower 70s in Clarksville. So it actually feels pretty good outdoors tonight, and did for most of this evening. You can see the thinning cloud trend in through here. We have been watching some thunderstorms tonight in Kansas. Notice now they're moving down into northeast Oklahoma, so Tulsa's about to get it pretty good. In probably about 6 hours from now, Shreveport will. So this system will not impact us tonight. So again, it's just the thinning clouds with the fog forming, and by dawn tomorrow, I think we're dry. We just have some areas of fog, so just bear that in mind for the morning drive. 70 for the low in the morning, but 7 o'clock in the morning, about 73. Still fog in many areas. By 8:30, it should be gone, or mostly gone. 88 at lunchtime, 92 for the high. Very light southwest wind around 5. Here's Futurecast through tomorrow, showing the fog burning off by 10. Maybe some low clouds hanging on the Cumberland Plateau at that time, and just very isolated storms tomorrow afternoon. High tomorrow in Columbia, 91, Murfreesboro, 92, 93 in Savannah, and 92 in Nashville. Here Saturday, it looks to be a very hot day, high 94, feeling like 100. And then notice, could be some rain developing as soon as Sunday morning, moving in from the north. And as we heat up, we have more showers and storms erupting. So right now, for Father's Day, it could look better. When will the rain form in your area? It just depends. It looks like it's going to form last in southern Middle Tennessee and first along the Tennessee-Kentucky line. So be prepared for some storms around on Sunday. Good chance of rain into Sunday night. Early Monday, that moves out. And notice cooler. High temperature on Monday, 83. Lower humidity Tuesday. I think we're all excited about that change. And then the heat builds again for Wednesday, back up to 90, 93 degrees for the high on Thursday. Stick around. We're back right after this.
I have to do this first. Oh, don't take pictures. Oh, look, it has a tag.
Mayor Megan Barry had to make good on her bet today as part of the friendly Stanley Cup wager. She had to wear that winner's jersey. Yes, the team that knocked our Preds out. What was a hard loss for the team, though, still has been a big win for the city.
For the finals, $8 million per game in economic impact. And that's visitation, watch parties, fans in the building. So it doesn't count what's happening in the bars all around the city or the outlying areas, but $8 million per game.
And there was more to the mayor's bet. The Nashville Predators Foundation donated $5,000 to Operation Stand Down in Pittsburgh. That organization helps veterans out of homelessness. The CVC says the Stanley Cup final brought $50 million to the state of Tennessee.
Did you see how quickly she covered up that jersey with that check? She's like, here's a jersey.
That picture should be at the airport when you come through the airport. That's a beautiful picture. Yeah. Beautiful. All right, up next, the Titans say goodbye for the summer, and one key member of the Preds says goodbye for what could be forever. Find out who now. All right, the Tennessee Titans wrapped up their summer workouts on Thursday with a game of punt, pass, and kick between the coaches and the players. The players won it when Dennis Kelly, who's about 9 feet tall, an offensive lineman, kicked a field goal, then bedlam ensued. It was a fun way to wrap up all the practices.
Short practice, little competition to see who was going to practice or not practice, or who had the day off tomorrow, or who has to work tomorrow. So coaches will be in and players are off. Did you see them at the end? I mean, yeah, they look pretty excited about not having to practice. So body language says a lot. Coaches did not look very, very happy.
Look at Marcus Mariota right there. All right, the team will report back to St. Thomas Sports Park in late July. First preseason game is less than 2 months away. Congrats to Predators assistant coach Phil Housley, who got a big old promotion on Thursday. Housley named head coach of the Buffalo Sabres, who originally drafted him. He played 21 years in NHL, 8 in Buffalo, spent the last 4 with the Predators.
I just feel I'm ready, and I knew this organization before. I'm really excited for that challenge to be a head coach of a hockey team, and I think what we built in Nashville, I can really relate to that with the players that we had there in the defensive core, and I think we can do the same here in Buffalo.
Housley was elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2015, and a sign of a great team and franchise. Other teams won't. What you have, guys.
You got that right, Joe. Thank you. Well, it's been a proud night for Tennessee law enforcement. 2 armed and dangerous Georgia prison escapees captured right here in Middle Tennessee. We reported it first at 6:30 and on our app, and we couldn't have gotten this story without tips from viewers just like you.
So when you do see news happening, send your photos and video to pics@WSMV.com. It has been quite the night. Those photographs we're going to be watching for quite some time.
Yep. Thanks for watching. Always for the latest, tune into Channel 4 News today, early in the morning, 4 a.m.